Huge. No Rice, no Gabriel, no Saliba, no Trossard, no Timber, no Havertz. And still a smooth win away from home in Europe. That is a display that Arsenal fans should be so proud of. It's such a big victory. I really believe that going away to Bruges in the circumstances that Arsenal are in and winning in the way that they did is a real statement of intent. And it is horrible, absolutely horrible to witness. I'll tell you what, if there is one player that perfectly represents the depth that Arsenal have, it's Noni Madueke. Noni Madueke. The fact that Noni Madueke, a player of that quality, a player of that calibre, is in Arsenal's second string is so indicative of who Arsenal are. It is so representative of the outrageous depth that they have. Like, when your second string players are capable of scoring goals like that, like, there is no doubt that this is possible. That goal that Noni Madueke scored today could quite easily be Arsenal's goal of the season. In fact, it could quite easily be the Champions League goal of the season. Picking the ball up on the half-turn, driving at the heart of the defence, away from home, and pinging it like a bullet into the top corner was absolutely brilliant from Madueke. And the fact that a player who isn't even really in Arsenal's first team is capable of doing that, it's just the perfect night. Not only have they witnessed their second string demolish Bruges, not only have they seen a player like Madueke, who they really need to do well. They've seen Martinelli score an outrageously good goal as well, by the way. But they have now guaranteed themselves an automatic place in the last 16 of the competition. And, crucially, when I'm looking at the permutations of this Champions League, there is no doubt in my mind that Arsenal are now going to secure top spot. Arsenal are going to win the Champions League. What that tells us, we can debate another time. But in terms of setting out to achieve your first mission of the season, that's it, isn't it? Making sure that you qualify for the last 16 of the Champions League and making sure that you do it at a canter. Making sure that you do it in a statement-like way. Making sure that you do it with big victories along the way. Making sure that you do it by battering Atletico Madrid at home, for example, going away from home to Bruges and winning, going away to Prague and winning. I think it really is big from Arsenal. And, you know, their form in the Premier League has suffered a touch of late. But I tell you what, they have this expression in Europe, this dominance in Europe, this belief in Europe. And there was never any doubt in my mind that they were going to win today, even in that first half. You know, I'm watching the game, cards on the table, I don't want Arsenal to win, but I'm watching the game, and in that first half, you could see that it could quite clearly go either way. You know, Bruges created, 3 good chances, and they were certainly in the game. But the second that Arsenal come out, off the back of spending 15 minutes with Mikel Arteta, they come out, and what happens? Bang. Bang, 90 seconds into the half? Madueke scores, and that was game over. That was game over as a contest. You know, Madueke's first, Martinelli's goal. I mean, they were just outrageous. Like, exquisite, beautiful. Like, to be that adroit at scoring in that manner from Madueke, it's just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And I'm going to be totally frank with you, it's painful to witness. Any Chelsea fan watching Madueke score goals like that for Arsenal in the Champions League, it haunts us. It really does. It's like every single time Leandro Trossard scores a goal, it hurts, primarily because you got Trossard as a panic buy. You know, we got Mudryk, we showed Arsenal what was what, we played a game with Arsenal, we won, they lost, they get Trossard as a panic buy almost. Trossard turns into the absolute governor, and we're lumbered with Mudryk, who's like getting more driving bans than assists. Like, that's what's happening. And then watching Madueke do it on the other side as well. Like, it's so frustrating. And it shows you exactly what Arsenal are capable of this season. And do you know what? On some level, you have to be... I don't ever want to see an Arsenal player succeed, but he's been through some tough times, Madueke, at Arsenal. Like, it can't have been nice to him, can it? Nice for him. You know, when he signed for the club and the 5,000 fans signed a petition, then he gets injured. And the fact that he can do it on a day when he doesn't have Timber in the team, he doesn't have Saliba in the team, he doesn't have Gabriel in the team, he doesn't have Rice in the team, it's so significant. And I tell you what, from Mikel Arteta's perspective, this is a result that must inspire him massively. You know, the fact that Saka only plays 20 minutes, that's amazing. Because so many times we have said that Arsenal are so heavily reliant on Bukayo Saka. We were actually saying, weren't we, at various points, that Bukayo Saka had to play for Arsenal whether he was fit or not. Eberechi Eze didn't get on the pitch today. And they do that in Europe. It really is a great day for them. It really is. And like I say, you've had those 5,000 pillocks that have signed some sort of petition against Noni Madueke. Then they witness him doing that. They must feel so dumb. They really must feel so dumb. You know, what's he got now? 3 goals. Yeah, 3 goals in his last 2 Champions League games. Like, that just has to shut everyone up, doesn't it? And, you know, the fact that he is part of the reason that Arsenal have looked the real deal in Europe, it's got to just be so inspiring for everyone at the club. You know, watching him score goals like that is so grim for us. But it gets to the stage where you realise Madueke is actually a great example to try and understand exactly what's wrong with Chelsea. Like, you know, if Chelsea had genuine ambition, selling Madueke, a player that doesn't start for Arsenal. If Chelsea are meant to be the club, if we're meant to be the club that I want us to be, a player that doesn't start for Arsenal shouldn't be starting for Chelsea. But this is what I find so frustrating. If we really wanted to win the league, what we needed to do was sell Madueke, fine, but then go and buy Eze. If you are a serious club desperate to win a league title, what you do is you sell Madueke, you make good money on Madueke, and then you go and you buy Eberechi Eze. What you do not do is sell Madueke and go and buy a player worse than him like Jamie Gittins. And that just shows you who Chelsea are and what Chelsea are all about. It really is so frustrating. But today it's not about that. It's about Madueke. It's about Arsenal as well. The fact that they have had the second most injuries in the Premier League this season behind Leeds United, and you just wouldn't know it. You just wouldn't know it. You look at where they are in the Premier League table, you look at what they're doing in the Champions League, and you can see that they really are capable this year. Like, today is all about the depth, isn't it? You know, I've heard, I've had it sent to me in a WhatsApp group, right? Arsenal fans singing that Gabriel song. You know, he comes from Sao Paulo and all that, and he plays for Arsenal. I've got it in the WhatsApp group. They're loving it. They're absolutely loving it at the moment. You know, Arsenal have taken about 4,500 fans over to Belgium, and they are going absolutely potty because they know that they're onto something. They know that they are moving in the right direction. And winning games like this with a second-string team is why you can ultimately win a Premier League title. It really is. Like, the reason that you can actually launch a serious campaign to win a Premier League title is because of your squad. Think about anyone that's won the league. You can always think about the squad. It's about the bench. You know, when Chelsea were winning league titles, yeah, Costa's goals. But Loic Remy was so important. Yeah, Costa's goals. But Michy Batshuayi was so important. You need those players to just come off the bench and secure points when it is most needed. I mean, and it just hasn't been like this for Arsenal. Like I said before, Saka had to play. And it was only last year that he had to play. You know, Arsenal went into a game against Real Madrid and you were like, if you don't have Saka, you can't win the game. There was a time where we would say that if Saliba gets injured, your title race, your title optimism dissipates completely. In fact, it coincided, didn't it? The title charge totally collapsed when William Saliba got injured that year. And it just doesn't feel like that now. You know, you've got a situation now where you've got that Norgard playing at centre-half. You know, Mikel Merino has been redefined by Mikel Arteta and deserves so much credit, but so does Arteta. You know, understanding your team, understanding your players, and finding a way to manage your way out of a problem. I gave Arne Slot a lot of credit for this last year. They didn't buy a midfielder, and what did they do? They took Ryan Gravenberch and they moulded him and made him what they needed. What's happened with Mikel Merino? Mikel Arteta has made him what he needed. And I think that now it's got to the stage where Mikel Merino deserves to start. I think that he is no longer the panic option, the emergency option up front. He is now a genuine contender. And look what's happened. Norgard at centre-back, Merino, a brilliant finisher, probably the best finisher at the club. Mikel Arteta is constantly finding solutions to problems. And that is what a good manager does. You know, they have a squad now that's just so interchangeable. And they are no longer really reliant on anyone. Like, genuinely. Play a game with me here. Who are Arsenal, like, reliant upon? Like, who are they totally reliant upon? I mean, I think you could argue David Raya. I think you could argue that they are totally reliant on David Raya. I mean, they would obviously prefer Gabriel to be fit. They would obviously prefer William Saliba to be fit. They would prefer Timber. But I don't think that they have a problem when somebody like Hincapié comes in, somebody like Ben White comes in. There is Declan Rice. David Raya, Declan Rice, maybe Zubimendi, but that's 3 out of 11. I don't think they're even reliant on Saka anymore, although obviously you would rather maybe Saka as well if we're being totally honest about this. But Every good team is reliant on some players. When Chelsea were winning back-to-back titles, we were obviously reliant. The spine, Cech, Terry, Lampard, Drogba. By the time Ashley Cole came into the team, Ashley Cole. Like, there was no replacement for Ashley Cole in the way there is no replacement for Declan Rice. But generally speaking, you can tweak the team. And it's getting to the stage now where you're looking at Madueke, you're looking at his form, you're looking at the goals, you're looking at the product. And you're thinking, he can play on either side. So he's capable of playing instead of Bukayo Saka or alongside Bukayo Saka in a lineup. There is one position really in the England front three that is up for grabs. And it's the position that is currently probably occupied by Anthony Gordon, according to Tuchel. Marcus Rashford certainly has a shout. I would argue Jack Grealish should be in contention. But if Noni Madueke is going to win a league title and heaven forbid a Champions League, do we need to have a conversation of Noni Madueke playing there? You know, Thomas Tuchel likes him. The fact that he can play on both sides and that left side is up for grabs. Yeah, it's a it's a really big day for Arsenal. And like I say, I've looked at the permutations of this Champions League and there is no doubt in my mind that they should and will now win it. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Brilliant day for Arsenal. Always an honour to talk to you. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Do click subscribe. I'll see you in a bit. Ta-da.